record and we'll get going. So I'd love you to come into your chair and find a comfortable seated position. So I got so comfy I wanted to bring a pillow to the back. And once you come back into the chair, you might bring your hands together or turn the palms of the hands down so that we can start to bring the awareness inwards. You might soften your gaze or even begin to close your eyes. And as we start to slow down and we start to draw the awareness inwards, starting to check in with how you're feeling today. So I'm going to say a formal welcome to you here at Silverchair. And start today's session by taking a few mindful breaths. And if it feels right, you might join me in finding 5 deep breaths. Inhaling through your nose. Exhaling long, silent, whistling breaths out through your mouth. Allowing your breath to flow naturally again whenever you feel ready. Taking a moment to check in with how you've landed through the torso, and if your torso or your spine is tending to lean in one direction more than another. Notice if you feel yourself coming forward or leaning back. If you lean to one side more than another. Know that there's no right or wrong. There's only what is right for you. And if something doesn't feel right, please don't do it. If it does feel right, you might join me in taking the feet apart a little bit, planting the feet on the ground and starting to move gently through the pelvis, forward and back. And if it felt right, you could start to time this movement with the timing of your breath so that as you inhale, you draw the pelvis forward. Maybe feel the chest beginning to expand out and up. And as you exhale, you tilt the pelvis back. Slightly arch the spine back behind you. Bring the chin to the chest. Inhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Feel the chest opening out and up. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back. Arch your spine behind. Draw the chin to the chest. To begin with, you could keep this movement small and subtle. Maybe feeling more delicate vertebrae through your spine moving than the bigger curves at this point. And if you felt yourself being drawn out into more expressive movements, then you might reach further into the spine, forward and back. You might start drawing the shoulders back and down as you open through the chest. You might begin to draw the lower abdominal space in and up towards the belly button region as you arch back. You might open the mouth and let the back of the head tip towards the shoulders as you inhale. You might curl the shoulders forward, reach the hands over the knees as you exhale. Let's find maybe another 3 breaths. Gently moving the spine forward and back with the breath. When you found those 3 breaths, let's draw a taller spine in a central position and invite the shoulders to be soft. Take a moment to bring your awareness up to your head now and notice if your head lands more in one direction than another. Notice if you feel your head reaching forward or back. Notice if you feel your head leaning to one side more than another. Remember, there's no right or wrong. There's only ever what is right for you. And if it feels right for you, starting to move your head around in a large circular motion, opening the jaw, exploring your neck today. Explore how your neck feels as you move your head carefully around. Notice if there's anywhere that you are drawn to in particular, anywhere you want to pause, maybe allow yourself a few extra breaths. We're going to keep exploring the head and the neck through these circular motions with the head for another 3 breaths. All the while keeping the spine in a central position. And returning your head to a central position when you've found those 3 breaths. Let's bring the awareness back down to the hands. Notice if your hands are still turned down through the palms. Notice if you feel any sense of weight through the hands, sometimes also referred to as a sense of grounding. This position through the hands can sometimes help anchor the awareness inwards. You might feel a sense of your attention being attuned through the weight of the hands resting on the legs. This sense of grounding can feel really useful if we have many thoughts running through the mind. You can explore this anchoring, this grounding even further through the hands by moving them with the breath, sliding them up to your knees as you inhale, sliding them back towards the hip flexors as you exhale. Sliding them up towards the knees as you inhale. Sliding them back towards the hips as you exhale. Stay light through the fingertips as you slide the hands up and down the thighs. And let's perhaps explore 3 more mindful breaths here. Landing the hands back into a central position. You might feel a slight tingle through your fingertips, a warmth now through your hands. I thought today we'd explore a few subtle variations through the hands and the positions of the body to explore how we feel and hopefully draw in some fresh energy to the body through the breath. If turning the palms of your hands down might be suggestive of anchoring and grounding awareness inwards, turning the palms of the hands upwards can sometimes invite a sense of space, of spaciousness through the front body, a lightness through the fingertips, a lightness through the front of the body. This can feel really supportive if you're feeling quite heavy and tired, to bring in a sense of lightness by turning the palms of the hands upwards and maybe bringing the first finger and the thumb to touch lightly. Let's explore this space for the next few breaths. If you start to notice that this position is feeling really supportive for you, you might feel a sense of ease or calm or energy as you pause here. And this might be a position that you return to at the end of the session when we spend a bit more time with the breath. I'm going to explore another 2 options, 2 variations with the hands that you might join me with now. The next position I'm going to explore is bringing one hand on top of the other. So cradling one hand, both palms are turned up, just placed one hand on top of another, and I'm resting that comfortably in my lap. As it happens, my 2 thumbs are now touching each other, but you could tuck the thumbs in. Really what we're seeking here is a sense of being held, of holding space for the breath. Just notice how that makes you feel as you land one hand perhaps into the hand of another. I think I must have really lazy hands, because as I rest one hand in another, I feel like this draws in a sense of effort for my hands today. I think I personally preferred that more spacious, palm turned upward form. So take a moment to notice what you feel, if you feel any difference. And of course, remember, if there's no difference at all, that there's still no right or wrong. There's only what is right for you. Let's stay here for a few mindful breaths. The next position that I'm going to explore with my hands is something that might be suggested to invite a sense of balance. And that's by taking the two hands and meeting each finger pad with the other. So my baby finger pads come together, my ring finger, my middle finger, my first finger, and my thumb. And it almost feels like I'm carrying an invisible ball here. I'm going to take my hands and rest them in my lap once they've landed together. Checking in with the shoulders, that they're staying soft. Starting to notice the sensations that arise through the finger pads, maybe through the hands. It's quite a unique position to rest the hands in, to have the fingers joined, but still to be able to experience space in the palm of the hand. And you might notice a sense of balance coming through in the level of pressure drawn in through the finger pads. You might even get a little tingle out through each finger. Just notice how this feels for you if we pause here for a few mindful breaths. And now finally, now that we've explored maybe 4 different positions with the hands, perhaps you could guide yourself into your most comfortable and preferred position through the hands and the arms. And just notice where your hands land. You might need to check back in with all 4. Palms down, palms up. One hand resting in another in your lap space, or all finger pads connected with space between the hands. And just notice how it makes you feel now. If you notice anything, whenever you land through your hands, landing your awareness back to your breath. Connecting to the entire experience of each breath as it moves through your body. Notice if your mind begins to wander from your breath, as would be completely natural and normal for our most exquisite minds to do. But also knowing you can always return to your breath. And that you have a few moments in your day now where you have complete permission to give your full attention and care to the experience of each breath. Until you hear the sound of my voice again. Notice if your mind may have wandered, as would be completely natural and normal for our exquisite minds to do. Perhaps guiding your mind back inwards to your breath, and through your breath home to your body again. Turning the palms of your hands down on your lap space, reaching the fingertips towards the knees as you inhale, back to the hip flexors as you exhale. Inhale, hands to the knees. Exhale, hands to the hip flexors, and maybe starting to get the spine a bit involved too, so that we inhale, tilt forward through the pelvis, lift the gaze, open the chest. Exhale, tilt back through the pelvis, reach the hands to the knees, arch through the spine. Float your spine forward and back with your breath here. Starting to awaken through the body, maybe pressing the toes into the ground, giving them a bit of a squeeze and a wiggle. Coming back to center, checking in with the head and the neck. We want to bring the spine and the head and the neck into center. Preparing to close today's session with the same breath with which we began. Drawing 5 deep breaths, inhaling through your nose, exhaling long, silent whistling breaths out through your mouth. And maybe for that last breath, you could imagine that you're blowing away all that came before this moment so that you can bring in even more fresh, energizing air for whatever may lay ahead. When you feel ready, allow your breath to flow naturally again. And before opening your eyes, maybe take a moment to appreciate what you've done, to have carved out the time and dedicated it inwards, to have taken care of your health and well-being in a way I'm sure you'll carry with you wherever you go from here. Before you go from here, I would love to thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, and your presence here with me today. It's an absolute privilege and it's always a pleasure, even and especially via the virtual in these times. If you have any questions, queries, feedback, or concerns, please don't hesitate to send me a private message, or once I unplug the mic in a moment, we can chat if that feels right. Otherwise, feel free to float off, grab yourself a refreshing drink. Make sure you press your feet into the ground once you get up off the chair. Find your way back into the space and have a happy and healthy week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.